Welcome to Functional Foundations. In the next 30-ish minutes, we are gonna go through pretty much every motion that we are gonna be doing on all of our programs, okay? We have a couple key motions or movements that make up the strength component of most of our workouts, or the muscle building component, sometimes even the conditioning component. So we have our knee dominant motions that we talk about, where we talk about a squat, we talk about a lunge, we talk about a front lunge, we talk about a curtsy lunge, we talk about jumps. These are all knee dominant motions where my hip will usually come down to either where my knee is or below my knee, okay? So knee dominant actions. Okay, so we have our squat dominant motions and then we have our hinge dominant motions. So when we talk about hinge dominant motions, we talk about actions that load the posterior chain, the hamstrings and the glutes. So when we're doing a hinge action, our hip is usually higher than where our knees up, and we're trying to load these guys up. This is very essential because when we are sprinting, running, doing athletic things, we are usually on a single leg hinge, right? Especially if we're trying to punch, throw something, sprint forward, we want to be using our hamstrings and glutes, our posterior chain. So when we're in the gym, when we're doing our strength and conditioning exercises, very essential to load up the hamstrings and use this posterior chain, right? So we see these motions in our kettlebell swing, in our Romanian deadlift, in our deadlift, in our glute bridge from the floor. Any motion that loads the hammies and glutes and uses them for extension is going to be our hinge, okay? Then we have a horizontal pressing motion. So for horizontal pressing, we have push-ups, right? Horizontal press. We have bench press, horizontal press. We have all these different sorts of ways to manipulate each one of those presses, right? Either changing a base position, etc., etc. We have horizontal rows. So we talk about these rows, our seated row, our one-arm dumbbell row on a bench, all these different sorts of rows. Then we also have vertical rows, pull-ups, lat pull-downs, high pulls, face pulls for your rear delts, all versions of high pulls, okay? And then we have also high presses. So kettlebell pressing, overhead pressing, barbell pressing, landmine pressing, okay? And then we have stuff that works our core. So we're gonna quickly, I know that's a lot, we're gonna quickly touch in this next interactive workout. You're gonna follow me, we're gonna do all these together. We're going to just touch on a few different aspects of each component and just talk about it, okay? There's a couple of really key details that we're gonna go over in this follow-along workout that are going to excel your results, because when we're doing our rows, we need to know exactly where our wrist, our elbow, our shoulder head line up in order to get the most optimal effect out of our row. Once we start to build muscle on dysfunctional patterns, where say I'm doing a row, but I'm activating more of my bicep and my neck, now we're building strength and musculature that is inefficient and not optimal, which is gonna lead to more injuries down the line. So this class is your kind of all-in-one interactive. We're gonna go through it, we're gonna make sure we're doing everything right. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna revisit some of those mobility drills that I'm sure you've seen before. We're gonna get down into an extended reverse lunge position. And from this position, we're just gonna slowly grease the hip back and forth, working our way through this kind of world's greatest stretch position. Now this is used to open up the front hamstring as well as the back hip flexor as I glide back and forth. Once I've done this for about 5 seconds or 5 reps, I'm gonna take the hand that is closest to this leg that is up, and I'm gonna do 5 T-spine reaches. Using a breath to open myself up. We'll do 3 more here. We're just gonna open up the body slightly before we get into this workout. And then we're gonna switch legs here. Other leg comes forward, other leg goes back. We're gonna grease the hip back and forth. Front hamstring's getting a little bit of love here. Back hip flexor is getting a little bit of love as well. We're gonna slowly show those how to open. From here, we're gonna bring our left elbow down to the floor. Exhale, reach up into the T-spine rotation. When I'm doing this, I'm not trying to rotate my lower back, but rather move through the lat, through the scapula to unlock my T-spine. We'll do 1 more reach here, and we'll stop there. Let's hop up into a standing position here, and let's quickly move through 1 more dynamic exercise. We're gonna sit into our squat position. Weight is on our heels. Get your butt down, try to get comfy. Once you've got comfy, grab your toes, extend your hips to the sky, hold for 1, 2, 3. Pull yourself back deep onto your heels. Again, if you feel like you're almost falling backwards, this might be a good thing. Just try not to fall backwards. We gotta work that ankle dorsiflexion a bit. Grab the toes, extend the hips, hold for 3, 2, 1. Pull yourself back down. We're gonna do one more. Sitting the hips down, resting on the ankles. Exhale up. 1, 2, 3, and we can pull ourselves back down. First thing we're going to talk about, guys, is how to find your hinge position. We have to have a good bilateral hinge so we can build strength. So when we do things on a single leg hinge, which is all our athletic stuff, we have good foundation, we have good strength, we don't tear a hamstring, etc., etc., etc. So let's find our hinge position. We're going to start with a slight bend in the knees, and we're going to put our fingers on our hips and just push our hips back to load the hamstrings here. As we shift back, we want to make sure that our knees don't slide over our toes, because that's going to make it a knee dominant exercise. We've got to keep those hips nice and high, straight shin angles. We're going to find this hinge, and we're going to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. Hands on my glutes. I'm going to push through my heels, come up tall. I'm going to make sure my ribs stay down at the top. Another thing we need to talk about is when we stand up from a deadlift. Let's hinge one more time. Let's find our hinge. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Push through the heels, stand up tall. We need to keep our ribs down so we're not overextending our lumbar here. Slight bend in the knees. Make sure the shins don't go straight. Push your hips back. Find your hamstrings. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Push through your heels. Bridge up. One more time. Slight bend in the knees. Fingers. Find your hamstrings. Make sure. You'll notice that my chest comes parallel to the floor, but my spine hasn't moved anywhere. 3, 2, 1. Push back up. One more time. Slight bend in the knees. Push the hips back. Find your hamstrings. And let's hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Push through your heels. Come back up tall. Okay, so the hinge, again, is very important. It's really important that we find the middle hamstring on any hinge variation that we do. If we take this from a standing hinge, right, that we just practiced, we will understand that when we go into our Romanian deadlift, whether this is a dumbbell, a kettlebell, or a barbell, it's the same motion. And I push up, okay? So why don't we grab some light weights? So we're gonna start with a slight bend in the knee. Let's load up those hamstrings again. You're gonna hold for 1, 2, 3. Push through the heels, come back up. No lower back activation because our hips have done all the motion, not our back. Slight bend the knees. Slide the hips back, keep the dumbbells close, touching you the whole time. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Push, come back up, and we're gonna do one more rep. Slight bend in the knees. Push the hips back. Hold, 1, 2, 3, back up, okay? Why is this so important? Because when we come into our hinged over rows, so anytime we're doing a row, it's gonna be from this position. If we do a row and our legs start to come up, now we're gonna lose our lumbar. So very essential. Our rows happen from here. These are swings. So it's super, super important to be able to find, again, the middle hamstring, load the correct tissue up, okay? Let's take the hinge position and let's do 5 reps of a glute bridge, okay? So we have a bench. We're gonna keep our shoulder blades pinned on the bench. We're going to bring our butt off the floor. Our ribs are gonna stay down. Our spine moves as one unit up into hip extension. So this is also a good opportunity to talk about hip extension without the ribs popping. My ribs are down. If I'm here, this is not hip extension. This is not a glute bridge. We need to pull tension in, make sure the spine moves as one unit, push through the heels, the ribs stay down at the top with the hamstrings and glutes on. From here, chin comes down, one motion down, one motion up. 2, hold at the top, 1, 2, 3, dip. Bridge, 1, 2, 3, dip. Bridge, 1, 2, 3, Whether you have a bench or not, you can see that this relationship where I have my hammies and my glutes on with the ribs down is very crucial, okay? Even if we're doing a bridge off the floor, we're gonna do 5 reps. We start with our ribs down, we push through the heels, we come up, and we come down vertebrae by vertebrae. But it's the same hinging motion. My hips and my hammies do all that work, while my lumbar, and I try to keep my core from doing any extra extension to the spine. So I'm just trying to get here without there. Let's do 2 more. Bridge, hamstrings, glutes, maintain the ribs down, don't use the lower back. Last one, push. 1, 2, 3. So already from 3 exercises with hardly any reps, we can see that our hamstrings and our glutes are burning, okay? So that's our hinge position. As we progress, we're gonna move into single leg hinging, et cetera, et cetera. But for right now, I just wanna touch on those, okay? We're gonna revisit one more time our double leg hinge. This time we're gonna grab our dumbbells. We're gonna do the last set to wrap up the hinge portion, and then we're gonna move on. Slight bend in the knees with our dumbbells, light dumbbells, stay touching our legs as we slide the hips back, loading the hamstrings, torsos over chest, holding for 1, 2, 3, pushing through the heels, sliding back up. Slight bend in the knees, hinge. Hold, 1, 2, 3, push, come back up. 2 more reps. Slight bend in the knee, keep the dumbbells attached. Feel this, and if you have a mirror, try to find this, the hip as far away from the knee as possible, and come back up. Slight bend, hinge, 1, 2, 3, come back up. Beautiful. Let's quickly close off our hinge section there and start talking about our knee dominant exercises, our squats and our lunges. First thing we're gonna do is bring ourselves into the bottom of a squat position and hold. We're gonna do 3 reps with a 5-second hold, and we're gonna talk about our squat. We don't want to squat right out here to start. We wanna keep our base kind of just outside shoulder width and turn our toes out slightly, okay? From here, I like to interlock my hands in this nice little S grip here, and I keep them pulled to each other. From here, using the tension in my hands, I try to pull them apart as I pull myself into the squat, and I'm gonna hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keeping my hands like tensionized and pulling each other apart, opposing tension. I'm gonna dip back down. This helps to radiate a bit more tension, helps me pull into the squat a bit deeper, keeping my upper body a little bit more aligned. 1 more rep, pull into the hole, and we're gonna hold. 1, 2, 3, and up. From here, let's talk about our reverse lunges. Now, this might be the most important concept to grasp because this is gonna be how you build that posterior chain strength and size without risking lumbar anything, okay? It's the most simple exercise, but the most effective. The reverse lunge. If I do a reverse lunge very upright like this is a good exercise, but it hits a lot of quad, right? And again, we want to be posterior chain movers, so we like to open up that chain a little bit more. From my normal lunge position that we see people do sometimes with their hands on their hips, we're gonna change that. We're never gonna put our hands on our hips because that's pushing our lumbar this way. We wanna keep the ribs down, bring our chest into a hinged position that we just talked about, and from here, I wanna think about one knee bending to 90 and the other knee bending to 90 as I load the front leg. Front leg takes the load, and I push. So you can see my back foot here is turned inside, not turned out, as I bring my chest over my knee and I put my weight right here. Now already within three reps, my legs are screaming. Let's get 3 more, 3, 2, and 1, okay? Let's talk about that one more time on the other leg. Right leg forward, left leg back. I've got to make sure that this shin angle stays straight for this variation. Both knees go to 90. I bring my chest over my knee to load up this front leg. We got 8, 7. I can even put a block here to make sure my shin angle is straight and a block here to make sure my glute's working. Again, more tension on the back leg than on the front leg than the back leg. We don't want too much tension on that back leg because that's gonna put tension to our hip flexors sometimes. If we have tight hip flexors, if we push down with this, it's not gonna feel good. Make it a single leg exercise essentially, okay? Let's talk quickly about our curtsy lunges. From this position here, I'm gonna take a big step back this way. We're gonna pump 5 curtsy lunges. Similar idea, I bring my chest over my knee, I try to make the back leg weightless as the front leg takes the load. We're gonna pump for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're gonna switch legs. So other leg goes forward, other leg goes back. We're gonna straight shin angle, straight shin angle. Front leg takes the load, chest over knee. 5, 4, and what I wanna make sure is that my knee is not extending before my hip. I can't do this. I gotta make sure that my hip does all the work to bring me down into the hole and out. 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. So we've talked about squats, reverse lunges, and curtsy lunges. We're getting a little bit of sweat, which is good. Next up, let's talk about lateral lunges. So my curtsy lunge is here. My lateral lunge is out to the side. I step and shift, and this is the motion of a lateral lunge. Now, first thing I want you to do is take your wide step. Do not let the knee slide forward. We need to, again, you'll see this so often, hinge over. You can see from that hinge, I've opened up that hamstring glute. I can now use this to make my major mover, my glute and my hamstring, do the motion for me. So 5 lateral lunges, step, shift, back, step, shift, back. And then you can do it all in one motion. Step, shift, back, step, shift, back. One more rep, step, shift, back. 5 reps on the other side. When I'm going for my lateral lunge, I don't want this knee to bend. You can see that that's pushing tension this way. I've got to get this guy nice and long, sitting into this hip, step back. 5, 4, I can use my arms to help load and come out. 3, 2, and 1, okay? Last thing we're gonna talk about here is when we're doing a front lunge and trying to step back. We often see people do this incorrectly, so I just wanted to touch on it quickly. If I front lunge and I don't have enough tension to push me out, you'll see me do that kind of motion. So whenever I do a front lunge, I do a lunge forward, I enter clean, and I exit clean. Enter clean, straight shin angle, exit. 4 more. Enter clean, deload, step back. We can use that arm to help facilitate a bit more of that functional movement. No hands on hips. We're gonna do 1 more rep here. Step in, clean entry, clean exit. Should feel no knee tension there. We need to practice these now and be aware of how to move through them. So when we put load and explosiveness through these motions, we're nice and safe. 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. We've covered a variety of lunges. Let's quickly talk about push-ups and rows, and then this follow along will be almost wrapped up. So we've talked about hinging, we've talked about squatting. Now let's talk about our horizontal pressing, okay? So when it comes to horizontal pressing in any upper body motion, we need to think of our body here, our skeletal system, as a spine and 2 scapula attached to that spine, okay? That is essentially what our upper body is. So when we do exercises, we need to put our bones in a better position. Putting your bones in a better position through balanced musculature is what is referred to as good posture. One more time, putting your bones in a good position from your musculature is called good posture, okay? So whenever we're doing any upper body exercise, and we're gonna dissect the push-up here for a second, we need to think about, where am I putting my spine? Where am I putting my shoulder blades? Is this optimal? Is this the right line to build strength on, okay? So when we get into our push-up position, we're gonna do this kneeling for 10 reps. Let's get our hands in front of us. We're gonna take our hands, we're gonna spread them out so we have fingertips that are like feet now, right? And we have this position, not this, but fingertips and a heel, okay? From this position, we can never do our push-up with our shoulders behind our hands. We need to bring our shoulders in line or over our hands. So now you can see that my head is way over my hands. So when I go for my push-up, I'm going way down here, okay? So don't go for your push-up yet. What we're gonna do is examine the spine. So from this position, we will need to use our lumbar flexion to put our spine in a flexed position and our core in a neutral position. From here, now we can go for a push-up where my elbows come into a capital A position. If my elbows flare out, I don't load properly, I load my triceps. If my elbows go really close in, again, a bit more triceps, maybe a bit of shoulder, right? So we wanna find that optimal position. Fingers are splayed out, I bring my head right over, I make sure that I have my ribs down. From here, this position, now I can pull myself down into that capital A position and back up. We gotta make sure that as we come down here, we don't lose our spine. So if we go down and then that happens, we know that that's not a good enough push-up. And already 3 push-ups in and we're burning, okay? So kneeling push-up, spine flexion. Let's get 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay? So this is what my back should look like from the back. Boom. My elbows are coming into this position here, not up here, right? This is gonna lead me to using my neck. When I come in and I can pull myself down with my serratus, these muscles here, I put my shoulder blade, again, we're putting our skeletal system in a better position for posture. I start to build musculature around these muscles, which puts my scaps in a better position. So one more time, let's go for 5 push-ups together. I have my fingertips spread. I have my head going over, I have my spine flexed. I make sure that my spine does not move as I go up and down, and that I'm feeding proper lines of tension into my upper body. Again, not shrugging up, rather using core and structure and chest to do the push-up, okay? So that's gonna happen when we're doing bench press, when we're doing shoulder press. It's all about how my scap is moving about my rib cage and about my spine, okay? We'll cover shoulder press on a different day, because for shoulder press, if we don't have the prerequisite mobility to get flexion, we will never have a safe shoulder press. So if I raise my hand up here and I can't get it up here without sacrificing other joints, like my lumbar, that means that I need to work on this first, okay? And we're gonna touch on that in a couple of the coming videos when we talk about FRC and CAR. So right now we're gonna close with 2 sets of 10 rows. So we're gonna take our bench here, okay? And this is one of the most important concepts I'll cover today, is your row position. Again, we're trying to put our skeletal system in a better position through our musculature. So when we do our rows, we often see that this is what a normal row looks like to most people, okay? And this is not horrible, right? Every row can kind of be okay, but let's talk about how to optimize it, okay? The row needs to protract and retract our shoulder blades. So when I have this position here, I need to pick the dumbbell up and get myself set. From here, the row is gonna protract my shoulder blade down, but you'll notice I'm not losing my spine. And then when I pull into retraction, this is the key point here. This is where my elbow goes. This is me fully using my lat, my serratus, and my obliques to complete this row. And it also respects the fact that I'm trying to put my shoulder blade in a better position. So here's a good one. Now here's the bad one, right? My shoulder blade moved all over the place. I didn't get that opportunity to recruit the right musculature, my serratus mainly, to put me into this position. So when we're doing our rows, guys, we need to, for the one-arm dumbbell row, base our hand, get the dumbbell hanging off the other edge. Now, we can never yank. We need to slowly protract, pull through the pinky side of the hand as we find a 90-degree angle with our wrist, our elbow, and our lat. And we're gonna go down to protraction and then pull. Wrist, elbow, lat, meet up here, not here. If I try to cut this angle, I'm using bicep. One more time, stretch, squeeze, stretch, squeeze. 2 more reps here and we'll switch sides. Protract, retract, protract, retract. Now, if we do the next video that talks about FRC, protraction, retraction, how to move the shoulder blades, some of these terms will make more sense. That's very essential that you get familiar with the language of FRC, of protraction, retraction, anatomy. Very basic things are super essential. So let's do the other side here. We have a neutral spine, protracted, pull, Wrist and elbow meet at a 90-degree angle. Let's get 8 more reps. Don't yank. If I yank from the bottom, I'm gonna throw myself off. Slow motion, keeping yourself nice and stable, prioritizing your neutral spine and your neutral core. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so we're done. A couple sets of push-ups, a couple sets of pulls. Let's close this off here, guys, by just saying it's super essential to have good form when you're doing these key components, especially on your rows and your push-ups. Can't stress enough, I probably said it like 10 times over this video. We're trying to put our posture, we're trying to make our posture better by doing our exercises in such a way that it produces that, right? So if we have bad form, we have bad joint work, it's not gonna work out well for us. Thanks for following along. I'm so excited that you've taken this first step into cleaning up your movement, into working together, and I'm excited to get on with the future of your programming.